Welcome back. I'd like to share with you an incredible real story. It happened in 9/11 attack in New York when two planes hit the two towers, and after a few minutes both collapsed. In one of the tower where um, New York Deloitte Consulting New York office. There were four business analysts inside in the office. One of them, Sybil, wrote this incredible email I'm going to share with you. She wrote the email and sent the email to a few colleagues of her, and then the email was forwarded in many other offices, including Milan office. Our managing director sent the email to us, writing just a few words. Oh, this is an incredible story. Another colleague wrote, "Hello, all. We are as powerful as our colleagues, and after reading this, I feel very proud to be part of this firm." Another partner wrote, "One of the many stories coming out of this tragedy over the past few days, a gripping and chilling rendition which I thought you might appreciate. You might appreciate reading. I have always believed we are a great firm. I'm now convinced that there are many dimensions to greatness. Ours is a truly special place. We should be proud to each other and how we reach out to help our colleagues and everyone else in their hour of need. The world is not a bad place, at least not yet. Just a few bad people hang in there. Best regard, Manoj Singh." Here is Sybil's email. "I'm writing to let you know that I'm okay and that the other three states business analysts are all fine. I spent a harrowing day yesterday, the details of which I will describe later in this email. The bottom line is that I escaped with just a broken foot, thanks in large part to Mayumi, Eric, Joe, and Brian, four fellow business analysts. I'll be in a cast for 6 to 8 weeks. And frankly, I'm elated that is all the injury I incurred. So, if you guys wouldn't mind passing the news along, I know there are a lot of email addresses that I couldn't remember. My computer probably went up in flames yesterday, so I can't look them up. So here is my story. It's not easy to write and it's not easy to read. The day starts off as any other. I walked to World Trade Center on my way to work, got upstairs, booted my computer, and was about to dig into breakfast when people start coming around saying the tower have been bombed. Get out, get out. I didn't believe the first person, but more kept coming. So I grabbed my bag, hesitated to take my computer, but decided to just get out while I could. Upon exiting the building, we looked up to see an enormous gush pouring out flames and smoke in the first tower. It was breathtaking. There were papers and CDs and files flying out of the building and fluttering to the ground. We were awestruck. So I met up with Mayumi, Brian, Joe, and Derek, and we commented on the destruction as we leisurely made our way west toward the water. That's when we overheard that it was a plane that had hit the tower, which just seemed inconceivable as I was walking away from the building. Cell phone in the end, trying to call loved one to let them know that I was okay. The overpowering whine of turbine engines filled the air. I looked up in time to see the second plane hit the tower, hit the building, and turned to run, feeling the best of the explosion on my back. Terror, complete terror, and confusion. What the fuck was happening? Was that a mistake? It could no longer fall under that category. It had to be intentional. And that's when we all realized that we were under attack. My mind just couldn't wrap itself around what I had just seen. So I ran blindly towards the water. In running, my shoes fell off and tripped me. I just kept running barefoot. As a result, I misstepped and hurt my foot, but I didn't really pay attention. My biggest fear was that the towers were going to fall after the impact. But they didn't. Suddenly, the urgency to get out of there was real, very real. We didn't want to understand, we just wanted to get out. We started working south along the water. When my foot really began to hurt, I called out to the others that I really couldn't work. They stayed with me, and I will be eternally grateful. Mayumi took my bag as the three boys picked me up and ran with me to safety. Without them, I really don't know where I would be today. We want to get to the ferry, any ferry, which was further south, but it was slow going with them having to carry me. So we found a bench to rest on and just watch the carnage. The fires were getting much worse, burning a bright orange, and the second building now had a gouge in it as well. We watched helplessly as the fires raged and dozens of people jumped to their death. I can't fully describe the effect of watching bodies fall 70 stories and hearing them land. We knew full well that those people had no hope, no chance. Nobody was trying to save them. Nobody was trying to put them flames out. So we watched in horror. Our hearts going out to them. All of us try to imagine what the conditions must have been like in there to drive people to such drastic measures. It was horrifying. Those images are permanently imprinted into my memory. So we waited. We could do nothing. We could go on where? No, on where? We figured the worst was over, but at the slightest sound of any aircraft, we would send our eyes skywards with unimaginable fright. We had no choice but to wait it out, wait until we could get an ambulance to come pick up me, wait until a boat would come pick up us. But they didn't. No boats were stopping, and we didn't see a single cop, a single fireman. We were in a crowd of people left to rely solely on their wits in desperation. So we slowly walked south toward the ferry, not knowing if there were accepting passengers. They weren't from what we could tell, and we were getting desperate to get off the island. Manhattan is an island. We were inches away from trying to swim to New Jersey, which involves crossing the Hudson River about twice or three times the size of the Thames and full of motorboats. But at that point I was willing, as people were removing clothing. We heard an unearthly sound and looked to see the second tower crumble and collapse. I was dumbstruck. It never even entered into my consciousness that they might fall so long after being hit. We couldn't believe it. We just couldn't believe it. The sky turned black. A cloud of dust was rapidly reducing visibility. Swimming was no longer an option. We could not have seen where we were going, and now we really were stranded. A cloud of dust and noxious fumes washed over us, and all we could do was sit on the grass huddled, breathing through our shirt, and the ash kept coming and the fumes got stronger. Sinking our eyes and reducing visibility to a few feet. There was perfect silence, perfect. Occasionally, we would hear a child that we couldn't see crying and screaming not too far from us, and images of volcanic eruptions raced through my head as we were steadily blanketed in layers of ash. Vision of Pompeii, of war, until I just pushed everything out of my head but two words: keep breathing. We spent 20 minutes like that, just praying for a gust of wind, and I will remember forever looking up at the noticing that the people had shadows again. To see the sun again was indescribable. I honestly thought we had lost it forever. However, it wasn't relief entirely, because we knew that nothing was safe. We may have made it through that obstacle, but more were coming. We had to get off the island. The boys could not carry me and old shirts to their faces to breathe at the same time. So we all walked through inches of ash and insulation, me barefoot and limping, and we saw the Staten Island ferry was beginning to pick up people. We didn't care where it went. We needed to get off the first ferry out of the island of there. And as we were hurrying towards the ferry, another rumbling shook us. The second tower had collapsed. The ash returned, and I just thought, no, no, not again, not this time. I'm getting on that boat. And we did. We piled in like cattle into a ferry meant to carry cars. I sat on a pile of rope and relishing my first moment of relief as the ferry pulled away. Relief quickly gave way to bottomless sadness, utter desolation, and I watched the married New York skyline fall away. The tower were gone, just gone, and I cried my first tears of the day. I cried hard for my city and my country. My city, my home, was in smoke. The skyline was unrecognizable, a gaping hole where the pride of New York City had been, an aching void where my sense of security had been, and a sense of reversal washed over me as we motored past Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty. Our history was built on the huddled masses being welcomed to safety in this country, and yet here we were refugees in our own country, fleeing our own homes, watching as our city burned. And it may seem trivial to lose two buildings, but it is morally devastating to live under the weight absence of a symbol of New York that we lived with in our daily lives, that we saw from nearly every point in the city that we worked in, wondered at, prided ourselves in. They are just gone. And it is unthinkable that when I return to my apartment, which is in the no civilian entry zone, they won't be there ever. We made it across and was put in the first ambulance we could find, at which point I was separated from my friends. I finally got through my father 2.5 hours after the first plane hit. The doctors told me that I had broken my foot, and my uncle put me in a cast, and I just waited there, stranded once again. The phone lines were down, and all the bridges were closed to State Island. But I was happy to be alive, so utterly grateful to still see the sun, that everything else just didn't matter. Over the course of the day, I found out that everyone I know is fine, and I just waited until I could go home to Connecticut, to my father's house, which is where I am now. Like I said, my work computer was probably blown to smithereens, but you can email me at this Yahoo address if you want. I hope you are all well and rest assured that the new your thought that we knew your thought were with us yesterday, Sibyl. And this is the terrible story our colleague sent to us. Thank you for watching. See you next time.